y'all? It's Lee.
I'm Jordan.
And this is the Mind Your Business podcast. Join us weekly to learn how to mind your business.
Or at the very least, be able to tell people how to mind theirs, honey.
Drop the beat.
Oh.
Mind it, hope. Okay, friend. Just come on into the episode with the conversation.
I'm just saying, you asked me if I'm ready, and I've been called out for not being ready. And the truth is, I'm never ready. That's just that personality. I'd be like, okay, I'll do it, but I'm not going to tell you I'm ready.
I've noticed.
Yeah. So, we can start? Or are we starting?
We've already started, so we got that.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all. Back for another episode.
Back again. All right.
Oh, and I knew the next line, but I can't remember it now. And I literally just listened to it in the car. That's the Nicki Minaj, Big Bang. Yeah. And I listened to it on the way here. That's sad.
Shame. You're not a Barb.
I'm not. That didn't hurt my feelings. That didn't hurt my feelings.
So, welcome to the Mind Your Business podcast, where we hopefully help you mind your business while we be trying to mind our business. And then we talk about the world minding their business. And overall, we just be like we some business people minding our business, coming up with our wealth, living the life that we want, or at least trying.
Heavy on trying. That's really all I got.
I'm a therapist, LPC, and
I'm a therapist. I'm an LMSW.
And so we want this to hopefully help in some kind of way.
But if it don't, oh well.
Yeah.
That's horrible. That is horrible.
Well, so here's the thing. Here's the thing that I am learning as we continue to do this and things get bigger. We'll talk a little bit more about it. Is that this message, me and Lee, what we represent and how we talk about the concepts and the subjects and what's going on in the world may not be for you. It may not be what another therapist thinks is appropriate. It may not be what you would consider excellent professional advice, and that's okay. There's a world full of people where you get to choose whomever you relate to, whoever resonates with you, and I encourage that, and I'm glad you found them. If we not the people for you, though, that is good, too. We stay in a world where you can choose.
Friend, that feel like it came from somewhere personal. Where you got that from? Oh,
are we going to start it? Do we want to talk about it now?
We can. Go ahead and get it out the door.
Okay, so y'all know we've been doing this podcast for some years, technically 2 to 3 years, but we've just gotten back and we are getting more into the posting on social media, being more consistent with that, finding a way to make clips and reels that people will relate to and resonate with, and hopefully they can listen to them in the short amount of time that we have and make a difference. So we did really good with that over this past week or so, and we had quite a bit of views and some likes. We had some comments.
1.2 thousand to be exact. I just want to throw that out there. 1.2 thousand in 2 days. Okay.
So we are very grateful. We're happy.
Yes.
And we want to continue doing the work and hopefully helping whoever we can. With that being said, there were a few individuals that made some comments under the post. And I am an extremely sensitive soul, which means criticism and judgment is one of those things where if it's too much, I shy away from, or I just be like, well, no, it's not my thing, whatever the case may be. I've come a long way, and it definitely takes courage for me to be on camera. Because this was a podcast at first, right? Like, there was no camera.
There was no visuals at all. You didn't see nothing.
Right. And so the comments underneath some of the videos or one or two of the short clips, it kind of threw me off because, one, they were from individuals who had nothing on their page. I mean, I was looking for a video. I was looking for some views. I was looking for some professional advice, maybe some credentials, because I really want to get your perspective on why you feel the way that you do.
Right.
But then, I felt it in my gut. Started getting a little sweaty, hot, anxious. I had to call Lee. Well, I think at that moment we were messaging. I was like, they got comments, and I screenshotted them. And so I had to be reminded from Lee to kind of just, hey, this is a part of the journey. This is what this is going to look like. You have to figure out how you're going to navigate this if we get as big as we think. And so that's probably where that came from. And that's one of the ways I've been minding my business this week is saying, okay, I understand what social media means for everybody else, but for me, this means I get to expand my platform and help more people, create freedom for me and my family, my community. That's my intention behind it. It's not to look a certain way. I do want to be rich, but I ain't gonna come over here just throwing money everywhere. Like, my intent is really to help and to keep social media as a resource, a tool. I don't want people to focus on what I look like, Mom.
Oh, not Mama.
I may not be the most professional or put together on some days. This is just me showing up, helping in the best way I can. So I think that's where that came from. Somebody commented.
Yeah. So to kind of add on, so yeah, we got some negative comments, like 2. And I think it's one of those things too, when you only got negative comments, you didn't get any good comments, you didn't get any middle ground comments, you just got the negative comments. And, I'm with you. Like, when I first read it, I was like, what the fuck? But then I was like, I'm not finna sit here and disrupt my whole day, and if you die, I wouldn't even know. And that sounds harsh, but it is what it is. Anything can happen to you, and it wouldn't affect my life at all. And so, they were saying things like, I don't know, like, y'all are giving advice to go be a bum. And at first I let it ride, but then I had to go through on my personal account and comment. And I was just like, when we're talking about giving yourself what you need, if you giving yourself a nap is going to cause your whole life to collapse, baby, this ain't for you. It seemed to me you really ain't even got time to be listening to this. So I don't know what to tell you. And so, I mean, people are always going to be negative. Even, with like reviews for restaurants or services, people are quick to leave a negative comment. Whereas if they have stellar service, everything is right, they just kind of take the good service and go.
Right.
And so people, the internet has created a lot of internet gangsters, and it is what it is.
Yeah. And so part of my business for this week was keeping in mind what I want social media to represent for me. And for me, it's just a tool. I love this. I get a lot out of this. This fills my cup.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy doing it, and I will continue to do it. I'm not going to look at the comments. I'm going to be like, I don't know.
Oh, I'm going to look at them.
I'm
because the devil lives in the comments. And when you go low, I go to hell.
And so on the other side of the table, you go low, I'm going as high as I can. I'm just going to close the app. And so this was an interesting week because I was looking at the numbers and I was like, okay, another view. Oh my God, never seen this since. So, but this was a good grounding week to just kind of take a step back from that. So during the last episode, we talked quite a bit about deciding what life you want, being in the question asking phase and kind of going from there. How did you mind your business this week? Is this a better feeling week for you, or still in the question moment, still feeling that stuff out?
Well, I don't know. So this week at work, I think work was like a big thing for me. Found out that somebody was leaving a position that I would be interested in. It would elevate. Okay. And, had several people telling me, oh, you'd be good for it. Then it's like, oh, boss is asking people he hasn't even asked you. And it's like, oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay.
You didn't tell me that part.
I know, because I wanted the initial reaction on camera. But then also, out with my best friend drinking, somebody that used to work with us says, oh, well, they used to talk shit about you in the work meetings and nobody defended you. So I'm like, okay. So I kind of, I was talking to Joy about it and I was like, well, maybe, I wanted to leave at the end of the year. And now here I am like, well, maybe I could stay if I just do this. And it's like, well, no, maybe you're supposed to leave. And if this is what it's going to take, if you're going to have to be mad at everybody so that you can leave, then that's what it's going to be. But maybe you're supposed to be focusing on you and leaving. Don't let the temporary glitter get to you. Mm-hmm. And so I think that just kind of gave me a lot of finality. Is that even a word?
We'll go with it.
It's going to be a word today.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of finality in how I was feeling about things. So it's like, okay, I'm done with it.
That low-key pisses me off, though. Because here's the thing that people out there don't know, but we know. If there's anything going wrong in the jail, the person who they go to is Lee.
Yeah. I put out all the fires.
They walking straight into a desk. Like, barely say hey to anybody else. And so it pisses me off to know that you're such a valuable member of the team, but you still don't have a seat at the table.
Right. And I think that comes
crazy.
With crazy.
That is wild to me.
But I think that is something that young Black professionals kind of come to terms with. When you don't look the part, you don't sound the part, you're not the face. It's like, So, I mean, it is what it is. I've been dealing with that the whole time I've been there. So, but that's fine. Because it's like, if you're not going to create opportunity for me, I'm going to create it for myself. And if that means leaving you and you can be without, then that's what it means.
Because y'all, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that it kind of hit me in my gut because, you get that realization like, oh, I'm really not as important to you as I thought I was. As dear as I hold my job and as hard as I work at my job, even though I come in late every day, but still, I'm not that valuable to you. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. But if I'm not that valuable to you, deuces. And then you can see what you're missing. And don't call me when you realize it because I'm not going to answer the phone. So, It is what it is. But I'm happy. I'm happy with that. I'm happy to know where things lie. I'm still going to bring it up when I go to work. Mm-hmm. As soon as I get there tomorrow, I heard y'all was talking shit. Because it wouldn't be me if I didn't. But I'm okay with it. Because I know that y'all finna sit here and lie in my face. But it's cool.
And you brought up a good point. Is you have to know when to leave. Mm-hmm. You have to. And so a lot of the times, as long as things are good, we're good. Even if we're not happy, even if it's not what we want, we stay. Mm-hmm. Because things are good. Things are easy. Things are convenient. Things are in the flow. And so I'll stay. But it's not what you want.
Right.
And the more and more you stay, the more and more crises start to pop up and difficulties and people saying different things. And you hear these different perspectives. And it's like, well, is it still time to go? But no, it's still comfortable. It's still the convenience. I still have all of these things. But is convenience blinding you from really taking a leap of faith, having that courage to do what you want to do? Because I promise you it's better on the other side. Because you don't even have to worry about people who don't appreciate you. Mm-hmm. Questioning your worth and then making you look within and be like, well, maybe I'm not worth all of that. Because that's how that cycle begins. And so you brought up a good point. The longer I stayed, the more and more shit just kept popping up. Mm-hmm. So listening to that, knowing, okay, well, hey, it may be time to go because this, and this is happening. That's not lining up with who I am, what I want. Right. Because the longer we stay, even in relationships and anything else, the longer we hold on to it, the rougher it gets.
Yes. And so I think that was the lesson learned. I think I've been holding on to this job for so long. And, I've had several friends leave. And I'm about to have the last one leave here, probably in the next month. Mm-hmm. And so it's just kind of like, okay, quit trying to make it okay here. You keep trying to make a bed where you don't have a bed. You're laying on the floor.
Oh, friend.
But I mean, it is what it is. You're trying to make a space, where you really don't have a space. You're just, the only reason I'm valuable there is because they have somebody to go see this set of patients. And nobody else wants to do it, and nobody else is equipped to do it. That's it. So let me go. Let me go. Thank you for the opportunity, though. You've been good to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, knowing when it's time to leave.
And it hurts knowing that that's the reality of so many minority people in the work field, is that I'm here to fill a spot. I'm here to do the checklist. As long as I do the checklist, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you still don't care about me any more than you did the first day that you hired me. You still don't care about my family, what's going on in my life. I am just a person to come in and check the boxes. And as soon as something happens, I'm the scapegoat. As soon as something happens, I'm the first to go. As soon as something happens, I'm the one being questioned. And that's just... Like, I have a friend who works in retail and continues to tell me the stories of what it means to be a minority in retail.
Ooh.
And how you're treated, even sometimes by your district manager. And it's just like, this is crazy that this is the experience that people are having every day.
Friend, I worked retail for 10 years straight at the same company. And I'm not going to say the company's name, but if you know me, you know where I work. And I will never forget my district manager texting and saying I had hired too many Black people.
Ooh.
And I said, well, shit, that's all who came to the interviews.
And
I mean,
and to be honest, no one's is putting in the work like we are.
And that's all who came to the interviews. I was like, if you know somebody that, I don't know, you want to work here, send them my way.
But you gave them a job next to you as the... whatever high position up there.
And so she literally came in and she was like, it's getting dark in here. And I thought she was talking about the light bulbs because there was some light bulbs that needed to be changed. So I was like, oh, okay, y'all change them. And then she pulled to the side and was like, there needs to be more diversity here. And when you came, it seems like all that's been hired is Black people. I'm like, well, when I came, y'all didn't have a staff.
Lawsuit. Just talking about it. Let me write a note.
I know, right? But that is the reality. And that's how bold people are. So it's just like, well, all right.
And so the friend who just experiences the ups and downs, it's hard for me to be supportive and affirmative and say, oh, friend, yeah, I understand, blah, 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 blah. You were reading policy, per se. You followed policy. You did everything that was right. You did all of the checklists, and it still did not work out for you.
Right.
It's not about you. You don't want to hear that. That doesn't help you. You're just like, no, I ain't accepting that. But if it really is, that's the world that we stay in.
Right.
That's retail.
Right.
That's a lot of the service industry that's struggling right now to hire people.
Yeah, that's literally struggling.
So.
But friend, that kind of brings us into the next little portion of what we were going to talk about. Hold on, because I should have screenshotted this.
It's okay.
But I didn't. Now my thumb ain't working. So on my story, I had posted a little thing that I had seen on somebody else's story. And it says, don't miss out on something that could be great just because it could also be difficult.
I loved that. When I seen it, I was like, mental bookmark, and then I forgot. But then last night, I was like, what was that thing that you posted? And so, yeah, I love that. So what made that, I guess, resonate with you?
Well, I think because as you kind of walk through this journey of life, things are often really difficult. I'm one to say life is not easy. It's worth it for me, but it's not easy. And so I think that a lot of times it's easy to just be like, oh, this is difficult. Life is already hard. I have difficult areas all around me. I'm just going to let this go. But then it's like, what if that would have been great?
Yeah.
And I think about that even with our podcast, I think we're seeing what we want to see now. But what if we would have never picked it back up?
True. Because it is in a way difficult. finding the time, scheduling the time, finding the space to do it, taking a break. Because, I mean, your life still goes on outside of this room, even though we're in here talking.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
last podcast, I was fucked up. Like, I mean, really, y'all, like, on top of my eyebrows was peeling because I had just got them retouched up. But, you know, I had a really difficult night the night before.
Mhm.
And then having to come in and you've been crying and then sit down and try to talk about life and you start to feel your eyes water up. So you got to catch it because you're on camera and you're talking. Like, that's difficult, but it's worth it. It was worth it.
It was worth it.
And so I think that us as a society now, we have so much more, I guess, like, what's the word? Maybe opportunity, where we can kind of jump from thing to thing to thing. And you really don't have to stick with one thing if you don't want to. And in a lot of ways, that's a blessing. It's a really big blessing to not have to be stuck. I talk about this with my mom all the time. Like, I'll be like, oh, girl, I'm finna take a mental health day. I don't feel like going to work. She'd be like, Because to her, that wasn't a thing for her. You went to work. And she'd be like, well, I just don't understand. I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to quit. I think I'm going to go do this. And I'd be like,
It'd be
Ma,
the for me.
Yeah. And I'd be like, well, Mama, I don't have a quote unquote pension. I don't have to stay with this company for 25 years. I can maybe take my retirement account and move it with me. She'd just be like, because she just can't fathom it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we're in a place now where when something's not checking your boxes, when something's not working out, you can just jump. But I think that can be dangerous because it kind of decreases you sitting and actually working through things.
Yeah.
Like, oh, as soon as something gets hard, let me jump on to the next. It's like, no. Sometimes you have to stick stuff out and see what it could be. And I think maybe, I'm not saying work yourself to the bone in any situation, but I think maybe giving it, you have to go through rough spots.
Mm-hmm.
So give yourself the rough spots, learn how to navigate them so that when the rough spot comes again, you can navigate better, but you just can't give up.
Yeah. That makes me think of, Michelle Obama just finished or recently finished her book tour that she was doing, The Light We Carry.
Okay, book tour.
And so I guess the final night that they did, they made it a Netflix special. And so you can go and watch her and Oprah's conversation about it. And it's kind of been everywhere because she's been doing interviews in different places. And he was talking about marriage and definitely one of the hardest things that you will ever do because it involves you being completely transparent and honest with another person.
Right.
So that being said, she was just saying that a lot of the younger generation don't understand how to stick it out, how to work through it. We give up too easy. And I thought about that. And I think in some cases, maybe, right? In some cases, we could have went and tried couples therapy or some kind of networking thing or had more fun or adventure or changed our life in whatever way that could have made us happier or even happy if not the goal, just come okay with it.
Right.
We're okay with where we are now. And so I do get that point of it as well. There's some things that you do have to stick it out, but no one's teaching you how to stick it out.
Right.
No one's talking to you about what it means to be married. Like Jay-Z talks, he has a song where he was like, nobody gave us the tools. It's in his song Family Feud. Like no one gave us the tools to really know what it means to exist in a marriage past 10, 20, 30 years. We're all figuring out how to do this just right off the back, off the cuff, bro. Like I'm trying to figure this out. So with that being said, it did feel a little harsh, but I did think, okay, well, what's the boundary? What are we talking? What is it? Domestic abuse and violence, the boundary? Okay. Is it infidelity? Okay. Is it financial issues, financial trouble? Okay. Developing those boundaries and then going from there, but just a blanket statement, we give up too easy. I just don't know if that hits on it all the way.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a topic that we see all the time between our generation and the generation before. And I think people forget that millennials go before 1990. So there are a lot older millennials. People that you don't think are millennials are actually millennials.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people think that we don't stick it out, but it's like, what did you stick it out through? Because when he knocked your head between the washer and dryer, you know,
Yeah.
when every child in the neighborhood looked like your husband, when he didn't come home for days and he was over there with Lucille down
Not
at the
Lucille.
Lucille down at the juke joint.
Oh, the juke joint.
You know,
I want to go.
I think that's look, because I love me a good little hole in the
Hole
wall.
in the
as
wall,
long as they
honey.
ain't shooting.
True. All the floor is stabilized to where you're not feeling like you're going to fall through.
Mm-hmm. That's a thing for me.
Yeah.
I'm a little heavy.
Mm.
But yeah, it's like y'all put up with so much. And it's like, so you're telling me what I should stay through when, sis, you should have left, but you couldn't.
Mm.
Society is different now. I don't have to, I mean, maybe some people do, but I didn't get married because I needed financial stability.
Mm.
Because I would not have been able to work and provide for myself. I was doing that before. So when I got married for other reasons. Back then, when you got married and you could not, you couldn't do it on your own, I think you had to stay because what is the alternative?
Right.
Especially being a minority.
Right. Who's going to pay these bills?
Who's going to pay these bills? Because the level of jobs that you could get was limited anyway.
Mm.
And then I think especially when you're talking about like man-women relationships, I mean, the dynamic was just a little different. And so I think it's kind of like we said, I think 2 podcasts back, when you're going from one set of principles and whatever, and now you're traveling to something different, people become polarized. It becomes all or nothing. But it's like, I don't know. I'm not going to say people give up too easy, but I think a lot of the stuff that people give up for, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
I understand, especially if you got married for the right reasons.
Right.
You got married for the right reasons, and now this person knocking you all across the house, cheating with everybody. I mean, what am I staying for?
Yeah. Or yelling and screaming and hollering and fussing all day, every day. That starts to take a toll on you.
Right. I could live better without that. So, yes, I made a commitment to you that, we would try to make this work when it made sense. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the part people forget. When it makes sense. Make it make sense. I'm not staying through no craziness, no foolishness, nothing that's going to put me in danger, nothing that's putting my children in danger, nothing that's putting my home in danger. I'm not staying for that. I come home, you selling crack out the bedroom, I got to go. I don't even do crack. So I got to go. I come home, you decide you're going to beat me to a bloody pulp, I got to go. And so, I mean, I'm sure that when she said that, she probably was like, But I think that a lot of the things that the older generations think are the norm are not the norm.
Yeah.
And I think infidelity and the hitting is one of them.
Yeah.
I ain't dealing with that.
I'm trying to get away from the idea of norm. Right. We cling to the idea of normalcy. We cling to the idea of what it means to live life like your neighbor or the person across the street from you, the person that you met down the street at the grocery store. And in all honesty, there just is no normal. There is no should. There is no ought. There is no must to. We stay in a world, fortunately or unfortunately, whatever side of the fence you're on, where things just are the way that they are. Mm-hmm. And it is our job to either accept the realistic possibilities of whatever's happening here and change what we can. I don't want to hit a serenity prayer on y'all, but that it sums it up. It puts a little bow on it, because anything besides that, anything where we're striving and chasing this normal, new normal, old normal, it just doesn't exist, and it creates a cycle where we are tiring ourselves out and living a life that we don't want simply because it's normal. Right. And then I go over to somebody else's house and I be like, oh, I've been doing it this year for this way all these years, and to realize, oh, that ain't got nothing to do with anything.
I could have did it a whole different way. And I wasted my whole life journey trying to do it the way somebody else felt like I should do it when they wasn't even doing it. I say that all the time. You have people who make all these laws, who set all of these quote unquote norms, and they don't follow them. You ruling against gay folks and you sleeping with a man, and you're a man. You ruling against abortion and you didn't have 15 of them and you finna have 3 next week.
And that's hard to do.
You talking about marriage and protecting children and you have child pornography on your computer. Like, they're not following the norms either. And I do feel like some norms are part of any society, whether it be a pack of dogs, whether it be a pack of humans. Like, some norms are just going to be there. We have norms about how we should, you can't just go around killing folks. That can't be the norm. Can't go around just stealing. But those are because those things actually hurt other people. So that's why those norms are in place. But if we're talking about a norm in my marriage, keyword my, what you got to do with it? That's my marriage. And if I want to say, well, this is not going to be the norm for Lee, or if Joy wants to say this is not going to be the norm for Joy, then that's what it is. What they got to do with Bob across the street? Well, why you in my business? So, I don't know. I think people need to kind of look inward and kind of reassess the way that they act based on what other people have told them that they should do. Probably do some good.
And I try to, not use normal anymore. Not even weird, because that's a judgment too. I say healthy or unhealthy.
Right.
As long as you can define healthy and unhealthy for you and figure out where you are on either side of the spectrum, thinking about whatever interpersonal issue or situation that you're going in. The rest ain't got nothing to do with anybody else, no norms, what is weird, perceptions or judgments that you get from anybody else. Is this healthy for you or unhealthy, my baby? Okay. Right. Moving on.
Next. And, I tell my patients that all the time. You have to do what works for you. I'm not in your circumstance, so what may be a norm for me is not a norm for you. So once again, like you said, healthy and unhealthy. Detrimental or helpful.
Dysfunction or function.
Or functional.
And that's another thing. Like, oh my God, people get so caught up in I read online and I think I got this diagnosis and that diagnosis and this diagnosis. And what about this? And I'd be like, all love, all kindness, coming from the sweet place. Is it creating dysfunction in your life? No. Okay, well, moving on.
Next.
Because that's what if it's not affecting your job, your daily chores, how you're cleaning yourself and your daily hygiene, your familial relationships, we're good. We all got some issues going. We all got a few. I could go online and pick quite a few diagnoses and be like, I got this trait and that trait and this trait. It's not about the traits. It's not about the individual characteristics of whatever diagnosis that we're talking about. It is about overall, is it creating dysfunction or an unhealthiness in your life? Yes or no?
Boom. And let me tell y'all, please stop going on TikTok and diagnosing yourself with autism and, schizophrenia. And If you think you are having some issues on that realm, you need to go see a professional that can diagnose you. You need to go talk to your primary care physician. You need to go talk to a licensed therapist. You need to go talk to a psychiatrist, somebody.
And it's no shade to TikTok. Like, I tell people, curate your social media feed. We talk about it all the time here. Curate your social media feed to, find positive things that relate to you. If you relate to those things, you like to see cat videos and dog videos. That's me all day. I just be laughing. Then do that. If it's mental health, then okay, do that. But take that information that you get and know that it's not an end-all, be-all diagnosis. It's not something that should cause a sense of doom or gloom, or I've been living my life all this way and now I'm in crisis because I seen this on TikTok. I'm like, okay, well, you've seen it on TikTok, but there's only so much information someone can include in a 1-minute clip.
Right.
Even in a 3-minute clip.
Right.
And so, breathe. Let's talk about it. How is it affecting you? Can you live with this, live without this?
Right.
Like, there's more things to ask, more questions to ask instead of accepting what we see on TikTok as the truth. Right. And that comes for the content that you may see from us on TikTok.
Right.
Okay. Send us a message. Ask for the question. Say, hey, well, you said this, but I don't think blah, 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 blah. We can talk about it.
Right.
but don't accept it as a truth for you and allow it to change your perspective on life. Sometimes that could be traumatizing.
Right. Right. I mean, to be hard, if you look, I think we all know the joke about like you Google that you got a headache and it tells you you either got cancer or you pregnant. But I mean, that's why you should watch the things that you're taking in and you're allowing to be fact for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, you could have cancer. Yeah, you could be pregnant. Or maybe you have a headache because you ain't drank enough water. And it's as simple as that.
Mhm.
And you need to go get you a bottle of water and it's done. But I think people get so caught up in wanting to have a diagnosis because they want an easy answer for why they feel the way that they feel without actually wanting to do the work. Oh, I just want to say I have anxiety. I don't actually want to work on the fact that every time I come home, the dog is barking, the kids jumping up and down on the couch, spouse acting crazy. Yeah, I probably have a little anxiety too. I'd be a little anxious to come in the house too.
Of course.
And as long as you just be like, well, I have anxiety and that's what TikTok told me. Okay, but what about it? Could it resolve? Could you do better? Could life be better? Like, you don't want to answer them questions.
Because a lot of it is about the structure. What and how have you structured your life to flow throughout the day?
Hmm?
That's for you. That's for the kids. That's for whomever else you coming home to. We thrive on structure. And I'm not saying every hour on the hour have something to do, fill your time up. I'm saying structure your day the most productive way that you can. I'm a block scheduler. I need about 3 hours to figure out if I'm going to work out and finally do it. You got to find your way. But if you can have your structure for your life and your brain is aware of how it's going to move through that, that eliminates 50% of the battle of anxiety there.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, oh, no, I know what's coming next. This is my schedule. This is what I do. This is a norm for me, a healthy norm for me. Okay,
Mhm.
I can continue on. I can exist in that way. And I don't have to wonder, okay, well, what I'm going to do when I get home? What I'm going to cook? Who's going to be there? How I'm going to get the kids to sleep at this particular time? Let's plan that. All of these calendars on these phones and all of these productivity apps and all of that stuff, let's use that because that is going to soothe at least a small part of your anxiety there, my baby.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do the work.
Yeah. That's why I be late to work every day.
Boom.
I decided that getting up at 4 a.m. and being at work at 6 for y'all to be in the email talking about who called out and who need to do what and y'all need to do this and you got to take on 15 extra tasks because so-and-so ain't here. That don't work for me. I have a job where I can walk in when I get ready. So I decided, you know what? I'm supposed to be there at 6. I'm going to walk in at 10.
Mm.
I'm going to walk in at 9. Today
That's
feels
my
like at
vibe.
8:30. Today, maybe I got here early. I'm going to walk in at 5. But I decided what worked for me and I went with it. Now, I know everybody can't do that. So I ain't saying just go walk in late to your job. I hate for you to get fired because I ain't got no money for you. Okay? But I made it work for me. I talked to my boss. I said, that don't work for me no more. It used to work for me. Now you're stressing me at 6 a.m. So I'll be here at 10 after y'all figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Been coasting ever since.
Because y'all ain't paying me to figure out nothing, to supervise nothing, to manage nothing.
So I'll be happy y'all figure it out with donuts.
Oh.
That was good.
Yeah. And so last time we talked, we were in some moody places. How
Yeah.
about that? We'll say moody.
Yeah.
How did you do your work and come out of it? Or, was it more so, I didn't even have time to think about it. It just kind of lulled itself there and the work stuff popped up. And so it just wasn't a concern.
I think it was a little of both.
Okay.
So I did say that I wanted to start like writing things down.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. Every day I got to work, I wrote down like, what do you need to do? Like, what is the non-negotiables for the day? About how long is that going to take you? And then I did it. And surprisingly, writing it down was like the answer.
Uh-huh.
Because I could actually see what I needed to do versus, as I'm talking to my patient who has covered herself in peanut butter and feces, and I'm trying to talk to you about that, and then in my head being like, oh, make sure you go do that note for whatever. No, I put it on my list.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know when I check something off, I get a little bit of a satisfaction. I know that I've accomplished something, and I left each day feeling accomplished.
Mm.
So then the rest of it, I just kind of coasted and let things be what they were going to be. I controlled what I could control.
Yeah.
Everything else was just going to be whatever it was going to be.
And it was pretty much the same here. So, like, I was just like, okay, well, this is how I feel. These are the questions that I'm asking. What do I want out of life? Right. What's the next thing? Right. Came up with a few vision boards. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Boom, boom, boom. And then after that, I was just like, okay, well, that part of it is done. Now I just have to keep going. Day by day, step by step. But I do wonder the thing about motivation. Like, so, okay, we started out, you got to keep going. Don't not do this because it's difficult. Got it. Beautiful quote. But do you think we have a problem with motivation in this time? We have a lot of people who just don't have hope, belief, or faith that things are going to get better, especially those in the younger generation who's just like, well, what's the point of going to college if I'm going to have all of these loans? What's the point of investing in Social Security if it ain't even going to be here and I'm going to lose all the money that I paid into it? Like, there's a lot of instances where there's kind of like this nihilism. There is no hope. Life has no meaning. How do you find meaning and move forward and do the things that are difficult?
I think you have to establish what's important to you.
Okay.
I think about all of these things. I think about what is next year going to be. Literally yesterday, Joy was like, oh, help me look for resorts in Jamaica. And then the first thought that popped in my head was, are we even going to have a world next year in September? You know, like, y'all going to be them blew everything up. And now we in the, Last of Us. Like, that was my first thought. And
we're in Kanye fashions.
Because
that's what it be looking like.
And I hate that was my first thought, but that was my first thought. And it was like, still want to look at these resorts because that's important to me. I can't control if they blow up the world next year or tomorrow or in a week. I can't control that. But what I can control is that I like this resort right here because they got a swim up pool to the room. And that's what I'm going to do. And so I'm going to focus my energy into what I want to focus my energy into, and that's the resorts. And so I think you have to kind of determine what's important to me. Yeah, it does. I see what's going on out there, but I still have to live. I still have to make a way. So how do I make a way? Now, I'm not saying that you got to go take out 1 million student loans, because that's a real thing. I don't want to take out 1 million student loans. So maybe I need to research ways to get around that. Research, maybe something I can do right now in the moment, maybe a trade, work for a couple of years while I figure it out, save up money, go to college, whatever that looks like. But I think if you just say, well, everything's going to be negative anyway, you just created your future. Because it is going to be negative. It's going to be very negative because you're not going to have anything because you didn't work towards anything. And so I think motivation is working despite what it looks like. Now, once again, I hate that we always have to do this within reason. But, working despite what it looks like. Despite how hard it may look, I know that this end goal can only be achieved this way.
Yeah.
So I'm going to either take this way, maybe find an alternative route, whatever. But either way, alternative route or straightforward, I'm going to have to walk it. So.
Yeah, I think that's a message that we just don't hear. Like, people come to me and they say, hey, I don't have any motivation. And I say, okay. So what does that mean?
Right.
Because unfortunately or fortunately, our feelings come and go. Motivation is a feeling. And often, even though we haven't sat down and did an empirical study, I'm pretty sure there are some out there, motivation is a hard thing to kind of nail down when you're not gaining momentum in any particular facet of your life. When you haven't identified any particular value in your life, you have not determined meaning for your life. Once you determine meaning, we can come up with a plan and you can work for it, and then you'll see the results, and then the motivation will come after that because you'll see some results. That's a feeling that comes after. We're under the impression that I should just be motivated about life as soon as I wake up, and then I can go and do everything. And I'm like, no, unglamorous as this sounds in therapy, we need to work on your schedule. We need to see what you're doing every day.
Right.
And we need to create better habits because that will get you the results that will then lead to the motivation.
Right.
I don't want you waiting years, my baby, for a motivation to come.
Right. Because it will mess around and never come. I think the biggest way we see that is, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym. And I'm guilty of it. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym. And then, you've been saying that for 2 or 3 years and you've never gone to the gym. Then all of a sudden, maybe you get married. And it's like, well, I don't want to look a certain way on my wedding day. Now I have a reason. I've identified a value. I've put value into something, into an event, into a date, into the ceremony, whatever, that I don't want to look like that on my wedding day. So I changed. I got some motivation. Not me, but other people. Because I was like, whatever, I'm going to look how I look on my wedding day. Was cute. Look at was cute. But, that's a lot of times how things come about. There's a catalyst, and then it kind of fills you with the values and reasons to be motivated. So you have to identify those things, whether it be, I'm going to go to the gym for my wedding. I'm going to go to the gym because I'm going to Jamaica. I'm going to go to the gym because the doctor told me I'm going to die if I don't. Whatever it may be, you have to put value into those things. If you don't value your life, oh, okay, well, I guess you won't be motivated. If you don't value, I'm not going to say I didn't value my wedding day, but it's like I was content with looking how I looked on my wedding day. If you don't find any value in the way that you're going, you're not going to have any motivation because there's no reason to do it. So,
yeah, and so it's going to sound crazy. I saw a Red Bull commercial, or it gives you wings. That's Red Bull, right?
Yeah, and it is.
It was a lot of birds, and they were sitting on the tree, and they were all complaining. They were all fussing about something. And one bird who came in, he looked completely different than any of the birds. He had on a little satchel, and he had some Red Bulls, and he gave everybody Red Bulls. And they started saying something different, and they all flew off. Red Bull will give you wings. And then the bird was like, individuality can be a problem at times. And that clicked for me. Because what I thought was, okay, overall, individually, we have to start finding meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't really take time to think about all of the different perspectives and meanings there are in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You could say, que sera, sera. And to me, I'm like, okay, you just said a bunch of foreign words. To Lee, you're like, oh, yeah, that's true. That's exactly how I feel. To my homeboy Spider, it may be like, I have no idea what that means. None of that means anything to me. I don't even care for poems or poetry. Those are the differences with just words.
Mm-hmm.
Just the words we speak every day, we interpret and see them in so many different ways. It is your job to give the words that you receive meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's different for everybody. You get to decide that. You get to decide what your life means. Hard work? Maybe. But at least it's work worthy of doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I sometimes get afraid that we, as a society, we are losing hope in what life means tomorrow, the day after that. As someone who is helping take care of a beautiful baby soul, I have to believe that she's going to have a world that's going to be just as beautiful as she wants it to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's a value. That's where I found meaning. I have to believe that me and Lee are going to live the life that we want, and we'll be vacationing, we'll be doing conferences, we'll be helping people on a large scale. I have to believe that. That's my value. I have to believe that my husband and mother-in-law and mother and sister and best friend, we all going to be on one day, and we're all going to create a life and touch people's life so we can have happiness. That's my meaning. Those are my values. What meaning have you given your life?
Mm-hmm. And I think, but friend, I think people struggle to find the meaning. And one thing I will tell you is if you're struggling to find meaning, go outside of what you are used to.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons I love traveling, because I love to be around people who are not like me,
Mm-hmm.
who do not think like me, don't have the same, schedule as me, whatever, because it allows you to get some insight. Maybe you can't find meaning because you're in this box.
Mm-hmm.
And your meaning is over there, but you want to stay in this box. No, go out, talk to people who don't look like you, talk to people who talk differently than you, who have a different religious perspective, who have a different outlook on life. Talk to them, because that's how you learn. And you may be talking to somebody and ping, oh, that really resonates with me. I never would have known that though if I didn't get out of my box. And so that's how I came into therapy, working at the retail job. And, the job was a very difficult retail job because it dealt with people's bodies and all the things that come. And ended up, somebody came from the Social Security office to pay her bill. And she was like, you would be such a good social worker. And I was like, girl, I ain't taking nobody kids. Because I didn't really know. I didn't really know what social work was. I knew from my little itty bitty perspective of social work was that they took people kids. CPS. She was like, girl. The next day, she brought me a pamphlet of all these things that social workers could do. Clearly, she worked for the Social Security Administration.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God. She was like, you're doing therapy in the fitting rooms. I literally just heard you talk to somebody about their mastectomy. And she's crying. And I was like, oh my God. Would have never known that a social worker could become a therapist if that's what they chose to do. Would have never known that if I would not have allowed myself to have that conversation. And look at me now. No lie. She told me that. I went through a breakup the next week. I applied to UTA the next week. 2 months later, I was living in Texas.
Yeah.
Starting my journey. Would have never known that. I wish I would have had that conversation sooner. I went to school with people who went to, got their bachelor's in social work. And I was like, dang, y'all gonna take people kids? But had I talked to them about it and what their goals were and been interested in something other than myself, I would have known that. I thought I was going to go to the FBI. Had I talked to somebody, I would have known that a criminal justice degree is not the way to the FBI. An accounting degree is. Never talked to anybody. I thought I knew everything.
I didn't know that.
I'm all about being an expert of your own life, but you have to continue learning. Would have never known a lot of things. And my trajectory could have been sooner. But instead, because I didn't want to have these conversations, didn't want to talk about career plans, thought I knew everything. It took me a set amount of time. But look at me now. That was the catalyst that changed my entire life. I would not have been sitting here if it were not for that conversation that day in that store. But I mean, let me do a screenshot on that because that was good.
Okay, so last part. Who was minding their business this week and why? You go first.
Oh, I didn't know we was gonna do that, but I can tell you who was it.
Ooh.
So on the interwebs, I guess Chance the Rapper was out somewhere. I don't know where he was at, but he was out somewhere and had, a big booty black diva dancing on him. Cool.
Yeah.
Homeboy married though. And so that kind of sparked the outrage of, he's married and he shouldn't be doing that, or he's just having fun. There's no harm. That's a cultural thing, to dance like that, to be danced on, to dance with. And, where's the middle ground? And I was like, well, the middle ground is wherever they say it is, wherever him and his wife say it is. And then she posted something about, I don't know, maybe it was Maya Angelou. I don't know. But about kind of like staying in a childish place and not growing. So I don't know if that was like her response to that, if that's how she woke up feeling that day.
Okay.
But I was like, I don't know what the dynamics of their marriage are, what they do, what's, whatever. But neither of them has really addressed it that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's how it should be. For all we know, she could have been okay with it. Go out there, let them dance on you. Because if I was out there, I'm letting them dance on me, but I got to stay with the kids or whatever. Whatever. I think that he knew it was going to be recorded. He knew it was going to be posted. He knew he was married. whether it be a good decision or a bad decision, it's his decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if that's not okay in your marriage, then make sure your husband don't do it. Make sure your wife don't go do it. If it's okay in your marriage, go do it. Go foster that environment. But ultimately, he did what he wanted to do. He ain't said nothing on it. She posted Maya Angelou quotes. Next. And I think that's how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
You make a decision in your life, you don't really owe everybody else an explanation.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I may want one because I want the tea, I'm not sitting here waiting on no explanation, sitting over here 38 hot, typing on my keyboard about what he should and shouldn't be doing. That man is grown. He do whatever they decide is okay for him to do. Boom.
Boom. Because that's all it is. There's nothing else to even say on it. Like, we have to allow others to have their freedom.
Mm-hmm.
We would like for everyone to attune to our thoughts, our judgments, and our perceptions of them, of what marriage should be, and our values.
Mm-hmm.
We have to separate the task. That's not our business, not our task. We mind our business, not others.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if it's just fun to share your opinion on it and talk about it, then okay. Let that be it. And I think most of the time that's what it is
yeah.
No, this is just entertainment. This is just fun. I just want to talk about it. Whatever the case may be. But overall, for me and my marriage, we are working on developing a freedom, which means if you go out and dance with whomever, we've talked about it. We've had a discussion about it. We've set our boundaries, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Regardless of whoever say whatever, that ain't it. That's between us. We've talked about it. And sometimes maybe if we didn't talk about it, we'll talk about it after.
Mm-hmm.
Set the boundaries. Keep going.
Next.
Yeah.
Because I was talking with somebody about it and they were like, well, how would you feel if Joy was at the strip club getting danced on? Well, that's why she there.
I'd be like, well, that's what the strip club is for.
Send me the pictures.
Yeah.
But I think that's where I lie with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you there. When you told me you was going to the strip club, I didn't think you was going to be back there doing Bible study.
True.
If you are, let me know. But I assume that you probably was going to throw a little dollar. I assume that somebody was probably going to dance on you and you was going to be over there like, like that's what I assume. That's what it's for. It's the booty club. So.
And then I guess my other thing and my last thing is like, we have to start questioning what hurts our feelings. Now, not saying if your feelings are hurt, your feelings should not be hurt, etc., blah, 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 blah. But I think it's important for you to say, okay, well, when I see this person dancing on whomever in this way, and it hurts my feelings personally, what is running through my mind? Why am I so offended by this? What does this mean for them? Because most of the time our brain is making assumptions that, okay, he must want to be with her. He want to have sex with her. And that's going to lead to infidelity issues.
Because that's what happened to you.
Right. But that's not necessarily true. We done played out a whole fantasy in 3.9 seconds about something that was maybe just the dance.
And was over in 3.9 seconds.
Oh, but when you really ask yourself the question, you're like, oh, okay, so I have past experiences where I seen somebody dance with whomever. It turned into something bigger. 3 months later, we were experiencing a breakup. And so that's why I think the intentions aren't clear, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's your story, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Not theirs.
That's why I'm having this big emotional response to something that has nothing to do with me and never won't affect my house, my finances, my life, my health. Oh.
Like Lee said, I don't even know if you died, I wouldn't even know. Okay.
There we go. So that was my response.
Okay. So who is minding their business, even though I lost the thingy thing? So there is this young man from college. He received like millions of dollars in rewards for a scholarship.
I saw that.
And I thought that was extremely amazing. I wanted to share that story because it gives hope. To me, that represented quite a bit of hope.
Do you know what state he was out of?
I don't. I just seen it scrolling. Then I was like, I hear a baby yelling. Let me go.
Let me go. I did see that. He got...
It was Louisiana.
It was Louisiana. I was thinking that, but I didn't want to be biased. To be like, it was Louisiana. But it was Louisiana. Okay. Yeah. I saw that and I said, that is awesome.
That's awesome.
You have worked so hard to secure that because that's a lot of money. Because it was like something million. That's a lot of money. You can go wherever you want to go, foster whatever dreams, take whatever classes, get whatever books, do whatever seminars, because all of that can be covered in your scholarship money. I just pray that he goes and he does phenomenal, that he uses all that money to enhance his life, because this is going to give him that bump to get where he needs to go. Your name is now, oh boy, who got some $1 million. We want you. Whatever it is, we want you, because obviously you have something of value that you can add, because everybody else felt the need to give you some $1 million worth of dollars to invest in their institution, because ultimately that's what students do. They invest into the institution. So I saw that. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. And you know, life is going on. And there's a lot of stuff, bad and good. We can find whichever one we're looking for if we look. Enjoy the view. No, don't enjoy the view because it's not the view. No, enjoy the view because I love Whoopi, but also enjoy this. But yeah, think about your view.
Okay, a little wink.
I barely can wink, but I be trying.
I told myself that we were going to talk about something, and I was going to look at the camera and hit a wink. And I completely forgot. And it probably would have come off like...
Be like, why is she blinking?
What is wrong with Lee? Is she having a medical emergency?
Is the lashes too long?
Some. But yeah, I think this was a wonderful episode.
We are extraordinarily grateful for all of the shares. I've had quite a few friends that I never thought anything of me. Like not like they thought I was nothing, but it was like one person said, this is the smartest guy I know. And I was just like, me? Oh my God. And then another person who has their doctorate. And, you know, I don't have my doctorate. And so I'm working toward it in theory.
In theory.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, like, not the doctorate, retweet me. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like, it's just the amount of love I'm so grateful for and so appreciative of. And words can't sum it up. It's just thank you. If I had $1 million, I'd send all of y'all $1 million. Look, Lee ain't said nothing on that, though. So, but thank you from the bottom of our heart.
Why would you say that?
What?
In my head, I was over here like, is my wig like that? Yeah, I mean, if I had $1 million to give all of y'all, I would. If I had it to give.
Yeah.
And still have some for me.
Yeah.
Putting me first all 2023. But yeah, same. I was really nervous. You know, I was putting stuff on my Instagram story because I tend to get a lot of engagement on my Instagram story. And people were really like, this is so great. Like, I just showed so-and-so. And I'm just like, you love us.
You love us.
And I mean, not that I don't have any whatever in us, but I just think it's really nerve-wracking putting yourself out there. It requires you to be really vulnerable. And I was telling people, tell me what you think. Give me your honest opinion. Don't come over here and be ugly, but give me your honest opinion, your honest critique, because it's only going to help us grow.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very, very appreciative to everybody.
So find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Oh, I got the wink in. I got it in. Yeah. And remember, Mind Your Business Podcast, the #1, at gmail.com. If you have anything you want to talk about, we'll never put your business out there. But if you have a topic that's on your heart that you want us to talk about, that kind of thing, let us know. You can send a DM, whatever you want to do, whatever you're comfortable with.
And we are not your therapist. We are therapists completing a podcast and hopefully helping in whatever way that we can. If you are experiencing serious symptoms or difficulty living life, definitely reach out for help. I think the new number is 988. And so that's an easy number to reach the suicide or crisis hotline if that's something that you're experiencing. If you do want us as a therapist, reach out. We can talk and we can figure out if we're a good fit or find a therapist that works for you, the best with you. But overall, bottom line, we're here to help in whatever way that we can with
Amen.
boundaries.
Look at someone. Amen.
All right, y'all. Bye.
Bye.